Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today I'm going to be reviewing another kaiju movie for you folks. And kaiju means giant monster in Japanese. So, more specifically, again, I'm going to be reviewing the American version of this film. It's titled Gamera vs. Monster X. Series, folks, the sixth installment of the original Gamera series, and it picks up where it left off from the previous film, even though it never makes any references to it. The American version of this film includes stock footage from Gamera vs. Guiron and Gamera vs. Barugon. This film was never released theatrically in the United States, so meaning it was never placed in the United States theaters. But however, it was released directly to the televisions by the American International Television in the 1970s as Gamera vs. Monster X. Throughout the years, this film was released multiple times, usually in packets or in solo discs on their own, but pretty much it was released in several editions by various American companies at various different times throughout the years, folks. And yes, they proved to be rather popular among the American viewers, since they would remember these movies on television that appeared on there for quite a while. So if anything, many people want to purchase these for that reason. During the 1970s, this was the first introduction to the character for many individuals. And of course, sadly, a lot of people out there were stuck with this particular version. So as a result, folks, many people never saw the actual unedited version of this film. They were just stuck with the American version in their heads because they were first exposed by this version. The original Japanese version of this film is actually titled Gamera vs. Jiger, which is kind of a weird name, I guess. Eventually, the Shout Company did release the film on September 2010 on the 21st on a DVD as a double feature set with Gamera vs. Guiron. So there was that as well, folks. And of course, eventually, all of the unedited versions of the original Gamera series were eventually released on Blu-ray. But I guess you can say, sometimes you can say, it's a little too late, I guess you can say. Even then, folks, people are still familiar with the American version, which again, is the one I'm going to be reviewing today. So, there's that. So, anyway, obviously there were numerous additional editions that were released during these years as well, folks, which can be rather confusing for those who are not familiar with these kinds of movies. I mentioned a moment ago, folks, I do have the American version of this film. So anyway, as usual, let's get into the plot, shall we? So here we go. Oh yeah. Sorry, the fucking story. What's going on here is that Japan is preparing itself for Expo 70 because I guess it's the 1970s or whatever, to be held in Osaka, if I'm pronouncing that right, folks. Anyway, there is this construction of the various buildings and whatnot that's underway. So on this one island, there is this prehistoric ocean, I guess you can say, and we get to see that there's this large statue of a mysterious origin. And this statue is called the Devil's Whistle, of course. It's located by the scientists, but of course they are warned that the removal of it is actually a bad thing because it can bring a curse of some kind. Well, at least this time they're trying to give like an origin story of the monster, I guess you can say. And you know that this is going to lead to a monster kind of a thing going on, of course. And of course, there's gonna be lots of stuff going on here. And then Gammera over here has to come in. Around this time, when they removed the statue, the island people are telling them, hey, don't do it. That's bad. No. But then, of course, Gamera comes around and it's like, well, I have to take care of this shit. So, yeah, Gamera does aggressively attempts to stop to prevent the removal of this statue, only to be shot at by the crew instead. So as a result, the statue itself is removed from the island successfully after a volcano has erupted. So of course you can see that the monster and Gamma will of course eventually duke it out, of course. And I can say the fight scenes in this film with the monsters are well better choreographed compared to the previous one I reviewed, so there's that I guess. And of course, in the American version, they're really trying to really emphasize on the kid that's supposed to be the main characters in here. And I thought that's kind of weird. If you ask me, trying to really focus on that, really, what? And I felt that people like this character right here, folks, that's right there, came off like they had more importance to the plot because they try to warn everybody about the cursed statue. Hey, don't do it, leave it alone. But of course, nobody fucking listens. Because people are stupid. Of course, eventually we get to see some shit getting destroyed by this fucking monster and just wreak havoc on society. While I didn't think that this was nowhere nearly as terrible as the previous movie I reviewed of Gamera, but this American version, it's still pretty bad in some ways. It's still, I mean, it was almost okay. It was almost okay. But ultimately, what ruined it for me is the god awful voice acting, and I thought the video quality is very good. The video quality from the version I've watched was terrible. The video quality was really bad. So, and it made the film feel cheaper than it already is. And on top of that, I kind of, from what I remember, I feel like some of the violence was removed because it might be too scary for kids. And it just is asinine, really. Eh, Mr. Monkey, you know, I can tell you shit. I know how to take care of this problem. I guess you can say, folks, it's time to destroy this movie. Yes, sorry, folks. And I guess in some ways, this film does come off rather awkward in some ways because it does attempt to have a balance of, you know, I guess trying to be humorous but somewhat serious, I guess you can say. The main kid in this film, I guess the main child, I guess you can say, are a bit older than previously. Yeah, I believe like two of them are supposed to be in their early teens, of course, rather than just elementary kids, which of course is a nice touch, yes. And I do think in this time around, it's given us a mix of Japanese and both British players to appeal to like a multi-ethnic background audience, which in itself is fine, I guess. This silly, goofy humor is definitely downplayed overall, but still present. But you won't be able to tell that really because the dialogue in this movie is awful. The dialogue, again, like I've said before, the this is the American version, I guess you can say. And the American version, the decent dialogue that these characters had used is pretty much gone. And yes, I will say that the Japanese version of this film is a lot better. It's definitely a lot better than this film. Um, yeah, and again, in the American version, the decent dialogue is not there. It's been replaced by really shitty scripted dialogue, of course. Um, so some of the dialogue it just comes off like utterly ridiculous, I guess you would say, but whatever, I guess. So some of the stuff does come off rather unintentionally humorous in some ways, I guess you can say, but in a lot of ways does not work, I guess you can say. And I guess you can say that the parent characters aren't as stupid as some of the other entries as well. But again, you wouldn't know that really because the really shitty dialogue has been done in this film as well. And I know the whole devil vessel It's supposed to be something scary and spooky unto itself. But again, you wouldn't be able to tell that because the dialogue in this movie is god awful. It's really wretched. And then to make it worse is the voice acting. This has to be some of the worst voice acting I've seen in a movie. Holy hell, it's been really butchered. Oops, oopsie daisy. Sorry about that, folks. This thing got all shitty because I was still talking about this damn movie. So anyway, on with the show. I mean, I guess it's still better than Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which I thought was one of the absolute worst films of all time. I mean, hell, it almost broke me right there, folks. Surely did. I mean, even the people at Mystery Science Theater 3000 couldn't make this watchable. But, folks, that still doesn't mean that this was a good movie, like, at all. Because there's still a few things that still didn't make any sense, really. Like, for example, Monster X. Well, what does that X stand for? And where does this title come from? Why is it called this? And how come? Is there like an urban legend around here somewhere? And if so, why wasn't this ever brought up? He just called Monster X just because. There's no real explanation as to why he's called Monster X. At least not in the American version anyway. It's just thrown in there because, I mean, I guess they're trying to make it sound like a cool title to the movie, and that's about it. Why do a lot of these American companies seem to change Archer, these foreign films so much? I never understood that. It makes no sense at all. They have even done that with anime like Sailor Moon because it was too lesbian. Whatever the fuck that means. But they seem to be perfectly fine with two cousins getting it on romantically. So you mean to tell me that you're perfectly okay with incest? Oh God! Just stick with the Japanese uncensored version, folks. It's definitely an improvement over the American cut. The American edited version was not that good, honestly, folks. Got out my cup of joe. Yes, sirree. Um, Monster X is supposed to be a monster that came from like the prehistoric age, I guess you can say, which is cool, I suppose. But the thing is that this is supposed to be a female monster. Yeah, a woman. And you would not know that. If you just watched the American version, you would not know that because practically all of the lines from all the characters were totally rewritten. So a lot of the little interesting tidbits that they had from the Japanese version, it's gone. It's gone. They just removed it. And I don't know why. I guess they thought they kind of dialogue the kids couldn't handle it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe the audience wouldn't is what they thought, I suppose. I don't get it. So yeah. A lot of the good things I can say about the Japanese version of this film are ruined in the American version. And I remember it being a lot more violent in the Japanese version. In the American version, not so much, really. But whatever. And I guess maybe it's the attitude of violence that's different. Maybe maybe the Japanese are more comfortable with expressing violence in their films compared to the American audiences. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know. Maybe. So, but still, folks, it's still not a good movie. No, I mean it's still better than the one. Still better than the one I reviewed previously. Yes, but that doesn't save it. That doesn't really save it because it's still not that good. It was almost okay. It was almost okay. It was almost decent. But no. But they had to ruin it. They had to ruin it. So thanks a lot. So it doesn't have like a certain flow to it, really. At least it doesn't have like a certain flow to the overall movie, really, like the Japanese version did. So anyway, I can say that that it does come off like they were trying to do something, I guess, but ultimately failed, maybe. But anyway, as I mentioned in my previous video, I did review all of the Japanese versions of the original Gamera series and the other movies as well, including any other special edition I reviewed. The links will be down below in the description box in case anybody wants to see them. So anyway, this film, it will get an overall rating of a 4.8 out of 10. It's a 4.8 out of 10 for me. And as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, oh yeah.